Hello everyone and welcome to our Helix Brace Bites today. It is the last day of March today, and so going into this weekend, obviously with it being Easter, we thought we would take this opportunity to talk to you about what you can and can't eat with a brace on. Of course, we all want to eat all the chocolate that's around this Easter, and it's always a really important question that patients are always quite concerned about, and understandably so. People want to know what they can and they can't eat with their braces on, and what we can do or can't do in order to help them work out what that is, I suppose. And so if we start off with our little friends, who we talk about quite a few times, and actually I was thinking today I'm probably going to have to give them some names, but you're going to have to leave that one with me for a while I think about that. But when we talk about the aligners are actually quite easy to get on with, because of course when you're wearing these, there's not an awful lot of things that get really complicated, because the advice is always that you take these out for eating and drinking. And so in order to be able to do that, you can pretty much eat or drink whatever you want to. And then that way, it isn't really an issue. There's nothing to think about. The main thing that goes on when you're wearing these aligners is making sure that you actually brush your teeth before you put them back in. The real questions come about, and people are always concerned about what they can and can't eat when they've got a fixed brace on. So whether that's the metal fixed brace or the ceramic fixed brace, they both work in a similar way, whereby these little squares are glued onto the teeth. And so it's really important to know how to keep them glued onto the teeth so that you don't break them, but also how to keep them nice and clean. And so there's two main reasons behind that. And you need to be able to keep them clean, and you need to be careful with what you're eating, because the two biggest risks of treatment associated with this is if you eat something really hard and one of these squares becomes unglued and then it just starts rolling around on the wire, but it's not actually glued onto your tooth, so it's not actually moving your tooth. And then the second reason is if you start to eat or drink things that damage your tooth surface around the little square. And so in effect, the square underneath is protected, but this area around it is being bathed in things like, I don't know, fizzy drinks, things that aren't good for your teeth. And so you get the sort of scenario whereby you get to the end of your treatment and you take this little square off, and it's like taking a picture off a wall after 20 years. You can see the little imprint of where it was. And on a tooth, that can be really damaging, because actually that is a permanent mark on your tooth. And so it's important for us to be able to tell you what you can and can't eat when you've got your brace in place. And patients often ask for a list of what these ingredients, what these food products, what all of these options would be. And I suppose we're really reluctant to do this because it's actually quite hard to put a list together of what you can and can't eat with a fixed brace on. It's quite difficult to say. And you'll be delighted to know that the members of our team who have been wearing fixed braces have put this to the test to their advantage. So they have very, very willingly been a very dedicated team, and they have tried in eating all sorts of things that they should not be eating with their braces on, such as chocolate and caramel and gum, in order to test the brace just for you patients, so we can tell you all about these things. Okay, so in all seriousness though, when you've got your brace on, we ask you to avoid things that are hard and sticky, and to avoid eating things in a certain way. So they are the three main criteria that you need to think about. So things that are hard are things like pizza crusts, apples, carrots, crusty bread, things that you would be biting into with your front teeth. And so those hard things can basically, when you bite into them with your front teeth and you've got these little brackets glued on, they can cause the brackets to get sheared off and become unglued. Sticky things are things like caramel and chewing gum, and all of these things that you should not be eating when you've got a brace on. And the reason for that is because these chewy things get caught around the little squares and become very, very hard to move away. And so hard, sticky foods we ask you to avoid. And the reason for that being is that things that cause breakages, when that little square becomes broken off your teeth, causes a delay to your treatment, because for the time that it's broken, that tooth is not moving. And then when you come back to see us, we then have to start again for that part of the appointment by gluing it back on and getting that tooth to catch up with all the rest of the treatment. So that adds a delay to the treatment and an inconvenience to yourself, because you have to come back to the practice in order to get that glued back on. When you talk about the things that are sticky, that get caught around the little squares around the braces, they lead to the problems that occur when you are not able to clean this off properly. That food product, whether it be sugary or otherwise, sticks around the tooth, and it can cause the harm to the tooth and the little square marks around the tooth that we talk about when we talk about taking the painting off the wall and leaving a square imprint there. And so I suppose that's what you need to be aware of when you are eating things. And the reason I say that you have to be careful about it is that, in fact, you can eat quite a few things, but you need to adapt the way that you eat them. So avoiding hard and sticky foods, but also making your knife and fork do a lot more work, because things like pizza crusts, apples, carrots, all of those things you can eat if you cut them up into smaller pieces and you eat them on the flat surfaces of your back teeth. So you're not using your teeth with the brace bits on to shear them off and to bite them off, but you are just eating on them on the flat surfaces where they won't cause any damage to the brace. So we're not saying don't eat those healthy things. We're not saying don't eat those nutritious parts of your diet that you want to stick to. But you do have to be more careful with the way that you eat them. And I think in this current age where people eat more nuts, more granola, things that are genuinely really hard, you do have to adapt the way that you eat them much, much more clearly. And you also have to be much, much more careful with what you can and can't eat. And so I think this is an important consideration when people choose their brace type. You would have heard us talking before about how you choose a brace type that suits your lifestyle. So if you know you're the kind of person that's going to want to eat those things and you know that you're going to miss them, then I would genuinely recommend that you wear something like a fixed brace, the aligners, so that you can take them out and you can eat whatever it is that you want to, and that's not going to interrupt your lifestyle and your diet. Because I think if you wore a fixed brace and you were going to miss all of those things, you would find that quite an interruption to your lifestyle, and I don't think that you'd be very happy wearing that brace unless you knew that it was only for that interim period of time and you could go back to eating all of those things afterwards. So I suppose our advice to you is that whilst Easter is around the corner and there's obviously lots of chocolates and lots of temptations around the way, as is always the case with most celebratory festivals, you just need to be careful about how you indulge, making sure that you keep your teeth really nice and clean, making sure that you're brushing regularly, and also ensuring that you stay away from those hard and sticky foods so that you don't damage your teeth and you don't damage your brace, and your treatment can progress as easily and as efficiently as possible. So I hope that's been of some help to you all. I hope you've enjoyed your lovely sunny day today, and have a great bank holiday weekend, and we look forward to speaking to you again soon. Take care. Bye-bye.